All right, looks like we're live. Hello everyone to the Flux Developer Meeting. I'm just looking at the agenda. It looks like we only have a review of action items from last time, then the Helm Operator 1.0 status, and then I've put on a thing about the next meeting, because in Europe we have a DSD change coming up soon, which would make the meeting even an hour later. So let's talk about that later on. Any more agenda items, or is this all what you had in mind?
Let's see how we go with those ones.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Going from the top of the list was fonts to send a proposal to mailing list 2. This was about the configuration generators. Fonts, did you send that to the list?
I didn't get to send it, no.
Okay, cool.
I'll do it after the meeting. I'm busy.
Yes.
I'm busy implementing the proof of concept, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think you might have posted it to the Slack room.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. Okay. And there's a PR with the proof of concept up as well.
What's right? Come again?
And you put a PR with the proof of concept.
It's still work in progress.
Sure.
I'll finish it someday, but I keep getting sidetracked into fixing bugs, which I think are more important.
Yep.
I just thought that a quick mail with a link to the text you wrote would be good to just get people's eyes on it.
I can definitely do that.
And maybe some people helping out.
Maybe. No, to be honest, I think I have it more or less under control. But we'll see. Yeah.
Okay. The next one was folks to reply on the mailing list to Justin's proposal. I saw that Michael commented on it and Justin got back to you. The next one was bring up Helm Operator 1.0 up on the mailing list, ask for feedback. I don't think we did this. Maybe
I was supposed to do that. I probably was.
Yeah, I don't know who was. What I can do is I'm going to send out the meeting minutes anyway, and I can just add a note there, like give us feedback if you have any.
Because we do have a record of the stuff we thought was should go in it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
I noted this down. Okay, the next one was Fons and Stefan to talk to James to figure out the onboarding of the Windows package submission. Michael reminded everyone of more and more Azure people coming in, so quite some interest in Windows. Folks to coordinate and Slack and or the mailing list.
Yeah, I sent him a message on Slack offering help and asking him when he wanted to do it, but I don't think he got back to me. So that didn't move forward.
Right. Okay.
Do we know if he's on the mailing list? I have a feeling he's not.
I can try the mailing list.
Just have a check if he's on there.
Cool.
If he is, try there.
The next one was about the integration test. We also wanted to send that to the mailing list. Start the discussion about kind.
Yeah, so Stefan did some kind of parallel work that I think will be pretty useful. Stefan, do you want to summarize which bits of what you've done are sort of directly integration-y test?
Yeah, so I made a pull request on Flux 2 weeks ago that got stuck on generating the key from Bash, and I don't have time to do that, maybe in 2 weeks from now. What that pull request does is, so uses the Circle CI machine, has the actual VM, And in there, it spins up Kubernetes kind inside the Docker container. So I'm not using the Docker runner. I'm using the machine runner, right? So I have access to the Docker engine that's installed on the Circle CI machine. I'm spinning up a Kubernetes cluster inside that Docker engine. Inside the single container, there are many things that resemble like Kubernetes, which are in fact Kubernetes. I'm installing Tiller there. I'm deploying with Helm. I'm installing Tiller there. I'm building Flux. So when you make a pull request, you change something in the Flux code. I'm building that Flux image, and I'm pushing the Flux image on the in the kind cluster. So I'm building locally, and that local image ends up inside Kubernetes. Afterwards, I'm applying the Helm installer Flux, and because the image is specified, so kind will not pull the image from the Docker registry because it's already there. So it uses the actual code that's in the pull request, right? So I'm deploying what's in the pull request, not what we have on our query. After Flux starts up, I'm spinning up a Git container that I made. That Git container is just an Alpine image that has a bash script inside that clones our Flux get started repo. So when I made this new repo, my goal was to use this repo for examples, for demos, but also as our integration test.
It's kind of a integration smoke test, isn't it? Yeah.
Smoke test, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm pulling the Git repo Flux get started inside that Git server that lives inside Kubernetes kind, and I'm connecting Flux to it. I'm waiting for Flux to do the initial sync, and afterwards, I'm checking all the workloads inside the Flux get started repository, like the MongoDB, the pod info, and so on. So it's an end-to-end test for the Flux get started repository. It also covers Helm charts and everything we have in there. The only thing that so I had to hardcode the SSH secret and the SSH secret inside a YAML file. In order to generate that at runtime, I don't know how to do it. It's pretty complicated. So you have to create the Git repo, or you have to create the Git cluster without any SSH keys. Get the identity from that cluster IP. So you have the host, so you can create the host file, the known host file. Then destroy that Git server, create the secret, and deploy again the Git server with the secret mounted. So it's like,
this is
yeah,
the host.
It's a lot of bash to write for just a YAML file. So
I see what you mean.
Right.
I don't know if it helps. I did a quick Git server image that I can't even remember how it works, but it does it slightly differently. It generates its host key, which you can then get scan for, I think. That might, it might help. It might help. I can't remember exactly how it works. So
yeah, so
we're pretty close to having the scaffolding for like running different fixtures. And when I say different fixtures, I mean like, here is a Git repo, make sure that this happens, that sort of thing. It's quite close, isn't it?
So all we have to do is have a Git repo on GitHub with several branches with our test use cases, right? And spin up a Git server for each of those branches. Spin up the Git server for that branch. It will clone the branch. It will get all the files in the Git server, run Flux sync, everything is okay, destroy the Git server, pull the other test case, restart Flux, do the Git sync, check it out, and so on. We could also do that in parallel with namespaces. For each Git configuration, we could create a namespace, spin up Flux in there, and the Git server for that test.
Yeah,
so
that's the sort of thing I love with the test. It's like if I set up a thing from scratch and then run Flux in a namespace with this RBAC, and then I give it a Git repo with these things. This is what I should see, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Also, RBAC will be a good addition.
Yeah, fully. And like we can kind of run through that stuff ourselves and satisfy, in a single run. But then, what if something changes later on? We need to make sure we don't regress stuff.
Yeah, and I'm also thinking of, so right now what happens, my pull request only tests the initial sync, right? But I have another test cluster on GKE that has a private Docker registry, and maybe I can add that registry to the Circle CI machine, push some very small images, something derived from Alpine or something that's very small, and from the bash script, push a new image and watch out that speed up Flux sync with the registry, like 10 seconds or something like that, and afterwards check that the whole YAML parsing, commit, apply really works. Right. So what I have now in the pull request is the initial sync, if everything, the bootstrap of all the workloads. But we should also test the upgrade with different kind of, I don't know, Semver, regex.
There's a whole other dimension of testing to do as well. Yeah, it's true, the automation.
So Flux Get Started has all these use cases, has a regex use case, has a Semver globe, also has things like disable automation with a reason and so on. So we have all these examples in there. We just need to have also a Docker registry, a private Docker registry or something to test the upgrade part. But I think it's
something where we can control exactly what's in it, like
not Quay, not rely on Quay or Docker Hub, like.
No, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So that's run the Docker registry. We could just run the Docker registry and put a proxy in front of it if we need authentication. I think that works. I've done it before.
Yeah, I have it on my test GKE cluster. So I have all the deployment files, the auth, and everything. I just have to put them in the test directory that we have in Flux to spin up also that one.
Slightly changing tack. What's your commitment to the secret project you're working on, Stefan? I think it's secret.
Secret, yeah. It's secret until tomorrow.
Okay, there you go. So the commitment lasts until tomorrow, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, tomorrow night it will be the event. So after tomorrow, I can do the Helm chart release for Flux, since we also released the Helm operator. So we have a new Flux version and a new Helm operator. After tomorrow, I can do the chart release and do things on Helm 1.0.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. How should we move the integration thing forward? So it sounded like you're not quite happy with it yet, doing what it does, running the smoke test. So we should get at least that far.
No, I'm happy with the smoke test. What it does now, it only tests the bootstrap part, the first thing, which I'm very happy with it. I don't see a problem that I've hard-coded the identity key in the YAML file. I don't know.
Doesn't matter
if someone wants to pick it up, please do. I mean, 100 lines of bash script is not my thing. Right now, I don't have time to do it.
I think that's totally fair. Like, there was quite a bit of work already. So should we maybe also post this to the mailing list and see if somebody can pick it up, or we found an issue for it, or how we track the small things that still need to be done?
I would merge it as it is and make an issue for someone to pick up and do the, not have the hard-coded SSH key inside the YAML file and generate it at runtime.
I can take that.
Yeah, the result will be the same. I mean, the YAML file will not be in our Git repo. It will just be created on the Circle CI machine and afterwards applied. That's it.
Okay, cool.
Another idea around the smoke test will be to also use to build Flux Cattle and use it to do the sync.
Yep. Also good for testing that stuff as well.
Yeah. So we cover Flux, Helm operator, and
let's get the smoke test merged and any bits of that kind of patched up, and then we can think about let's cover another use integration test with it, and then each time we do that, it'll get easier to add more, I think.
Yeah, and we also should look over that old PR with all these tests in there, because like half of that code should be gone, because we don't have to deploy Flux from Golang anymore and all that stuff. We don't have to shell out from Go to kubectl and stuff like that. I'm already doing it from that script.
If we can get it to, does it work locally, Stefan? Like, can you run it on your desktop?
Of course. Runs if you have a Docker engine and 3 gigabytes of RAM. I'm testing it on Docker for Mac, for example, and Docker for Mac, the default is 2 gigabytes, so I had to increase the memory. If you have a Linux machine, it's no problem. You have the Docker engine natively to just work in.
Given a suitably powerful computer, you can run exactly the same tests locally. Okay, brilliant. Then fantastic. Then we can basically wipe the bit of the the integration test that's all to do with setting stuff up, and just have the bit that's to do with the test fixtures.
Yeah, that's why I've split it in several scripts. So you can skip the first script that creates kind and everything. You just do kind create cluster on your own CLI. You have the kind cluster, and from there you just execute all the other scripts, and they should work.
Neat, very neat. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Okay. Let's get that merged then. Action item.
Nice work. All right. Yeah, the next point is Helm Operator 1.0. Let's give a quick status update. There's also a link to the open issues. Like, I saw that some of them are already closed.
Oh, yeah.
I can share my screen if you want.
Oh, yeah, do that.
So anyone wants to comment?
Let's have a look. So 2 of those are about the hook, which is done. Oh, okay. So yeah, I said I was going to try that, didn't I? When you were hovering over. I totally have not even tried that.
Do we want to do them in a particular order? Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Stefan.
1 second. Did we upgrade the Helm client? The latest
Yeah, we did, but it hasn't been released yet. We merged it right after I released 0.7.
Great. Okay.
But
Cool.
people are already asking for a release with the new Helm client in it, so
Let's do that for 1.0. I mean,
yeah.
give them a build, a master build for those that want to test it right now. And yeah, so we are like very close. I mean, if we can split the repository, we have everything we need. Oh, we also need the CRD upgrade, but that's just some copy paste replace stuff.
Yeah, and the patterns.
Yes, so that's the that 1262 is the kind of most codey one.
And there's actually one bug that caught my attention too. That's pretty nasty to be included in a 1.0 release if it isn't fixed. Because if you change your Git source right now in your Helm release, the operator will never start mirroring it.
It uses the local cache, right? So you have to kill the pod to get the new Git repo.
No, in case you're syncing your actual chart from a different Git repository. What it does right now is that it creates a clone based upon the release name, and once it has a clone for a release name, it will never compare the Git source again. So until you restart your Helm operator pod, it will never see the change because it already has the clone. And I'm in the middle of changing it, but all the logic is based around the release name. So it's actually quite some work to get it into a right shape. But that's one thing that should be fixed before we release a 1.0, because if people change their source right now, it's just stuck.
It just halts it. Does it bring it to a halt altogether, or it's just that particular release?
No, it will continue updating all other stuff. But it will never see any changes for the actual release. So all other releases will work just fine, but well, any release that uses the source will get stuck.
Okay.
So the workaround right now is to kill the pod, right? Is the only way to...
Yeah.
So a minute, if it if you use the same Git repo and two different releases, does it clone it, like mirror?
Yeah, it will create a new clone for each release name.
Okay, yeah.
It's not bad, but it should also, instead of the release name, it could use the release name plus the Git repo URL.
Yeah, that's actually what I'm working on right now.
Doing a mirror, so in fact it could do one per Git clone. I do remember thinking about this when I was implementing the mirroring, and thinking, I could name this after or I could do one per Git repo. But then it was already getting quite complicated, and I punted that for later. Sorry.
No problem.
But it does make sense. It only needs one mirror of each Git repo. Oh, actually, one thing I remember that could be problematic was you might have one Helm release which refers to a Git repo and has valid credentials, and then another which also refers to the Git repo but does not have valid credentials. That's why I opted for doing one per release.
Yeah. But I think having one per release also preferred, as we also do dependency updates in the working clone, right? So each release should have its own checkout.
Checkout, yes, but
But that's the thing it gets stuck on right now. So it creates there is a clones map, and each clone has a working, what's it called? A git export. I have no idea what an export is. Yeah, that's a working clone.
yeah.
And that's where it gets stuck, because once it has a working clone for a release name and the source changes, it will never create a working clone again. It will only compare changes within the working clone compared to DOM head. So I think if we just add a salt to the clone name, it will turn out fine, I guess. Only thing I worry about then is cleaning up the old one, but it shouldn't.
I think there is, I have a feeling there is a point where it knows it's transitioning from using one clone to another clone. So
yeah, I will look into it.
Make the swap to the new source at that point,
yeah.
And it'll get cleaned up at the same time. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I guess put the 1.0 label on that. Yeah, or if it's not an issue, just file a quick issue so you can do that.
Anything else we need, or any other issue we need to discuss?
Yeah,
here?
I'm looking through all the issues that don't have the 1.0 label, but do have a Helm label. Anything stands out. Cellular support skip.
Actually, why don't we do that in the mailing list? Because if we were going to send a sort of start a discussion about what people want to see in 1.0 anyway. We could say, here's the stuff we already think, here's the things that are labeled Helm but don't have 1.0 against them as well. And then people can pick out any they think are necessary.
Who wants to do that?
I can send out an email with our proposed issues, and if people think anything is missing.
Excellent. You mentioned earlier that you wanted to upgrade the Helm client again before the release.
No, it has.
Just that it's been done, and that's good.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Okay, ignore me then. Perfect. Right. Is that everything regarding?
I think so.
Cool. Yeah, in that case, there's only the next meeting. So far, you feel the monthly meeting has been working well? No objections. Okay.
No one. It's not working well, I guess.
Nobody complained.
Nobody. It's perfect.
So up until now, we always had it at 17 UTC. Next time in a month, that would be an hour later for us Europeans. Do we want to move it an hour forward? That would be my
4 p.m.
request.
UTC?
So it would be, yes, make it 16 UTC instead.
Yeah, I think
which would be the same time as now.
Right, because it's 6 for you already.
In Berlin, we're
right
at
now
UTC +1, and it's going to be UTC +2.
Yeah, that's way too late. It's kind of too late as it is.
Right.
In a way, isn't it?
And we don't have much US participation right now.
Not right now. Evidently not. So yeah, I think and anyway, even if we did, they would also be moving in daylight savings. Although both the US and the EU have legislation lined up to ditch daylight savings in different years, though.
Different years? Oh.
Yeah. Soon, yeah. Soon we'll be on Brexit time, which is doesn't even run at the same.
Let's not get into that.
That's not. Yes, that's fine.
So for next meeting, we'll make it 16 and we will reevaluate.
Cool.
Perfect. All right. Anything else going once? Looks like we're good.
Brilliant.
All right. Thanks, everyone. I'll send out the meeting minutes tomorrow.
Bye.
See you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.